So I'm going to caveat this review with the fact that I am a huge fan of Disney. It is one of my favorite places to go on the planet. I'm a annual pass holder. I'm a DVC member. I love everything about Disney. So I'm naturally going to be somewhat biased towards a game like this just because it features Disney. But I'm also going to be objective enough to tell you that this game does have some serious limitations, and it's frustrating because I know the polish that Disney can bring to something when they want to. And while a lot of that is here, there's also a lot of frustrating things about this game too. So we're going to cover both of those. So Speedstorm's actually been out for a little bit of time. I don't know why in their infinite wisdom they decided to release this as basically a paid closed beta early on for early access. I suspect a lot of people did not bite on that. The kart race scene is monumental, and everything, and including this game, everything lives under the shadow of Mario Kart, which remains the definitive experience in terms of content and theming and everything, a love letter to all things Mario and all things Nintendo. And I think that this game does kind of fit that niche for things Disney, but the fact that they started off on such a bad foot, the fact that they decided to make it this kind of weird paid thing, I think turned a lot of people off. Because this was initially announced as a free-to-play, which frustrated me already because I don't want to have a job, and free-to-play games ultimately turn into jobs. But that was the approach that they decided to take, and I figured, well, at least it's done with that paid access crap. We can now try it for free. We could play for a little while, and I can give you guys my honest opinion on what I've seen so far. So, all of that bias and nonsense to say, it is actually a very fun game. It runs phenomenally on PlayStation 5. Nice locked 60 frame per second experience. Looks beautiful, and the good thing about a game like this is Disney has a lot that they can experiment with. We know from the past that these Disney Universe games do sometimes struggle under their own weight when you think of the vast amount of IP that Disney can pull from, not just in kind of the core characters, but when you really start to think about everything that they offer on theme parks, when you think of everything they offer on movies. You could start doing Star Wars tie-ins, you could start doing Beauty and the Beast tie-ins, you could start doing Coco tie-ins. Any Disney movie you could think of, Toy Story, anything goes in this world. And that's where you could start to get some really cool levels, really cool characters, and it could really start to feel like that love letter in the same way that Mario is that love letter. Nintendo is that love letter in Mario Kart. The problem is this game falls under its own weight in terms of the sheer amount of free-to-play things that you can do. So before you can even really start to play competitively, you have to play through these single-player campaigns. And I say campaign very loosely. It's just a few levels that you have to play with a set character, whether it be Mickey Mouse or Donald Duck or Goofy, just to kind of play through the game against bots and just to kind of get a feel for how the game looks and how the upgrade system works and what you can and can't do to your car and what you can and can't do in terms of gameplay. And that is kind of gating, I think. It's nice because it kind of forces people to, quote unquote, be ready by the time they get into other modes. But you will find that the challenge here is very lacking, and I haven't quite figured out the rubber band mechanic of this game quite yet, but I have never, ever not finished in first place, ever. So either I'm insanely good or the game's just going to kind of let you win just for showing up. As far as mechanics go, very similar fare here. You have your dash, which feels so smooth. Your dash does allow you to build up a boost meter. That's at the top of the screen. When that boost meter is full, you can crank it. And you could boost so many times in this game. If you're constantly grinding and boosting and hitting pads, you could probably boost through a quarter of the course or more. And I suspect that mechanic alone is what is really going to kind of separate the pack, so to speak. But once you get your boost meter full and you're off to the races, you know, you're going to have fun zipping around and collecting power-ups. Now, the power-ups work a little differently in this game than other games. The power-ups do have these various modes to them, essentially. So they'll act one way if you just tap the button forward or back. You know, that's pretty standard. Throw the item in front of you or behind you. That's nothing new. But depending on how long you charge and hold something, you can actually change how it works. It could be more of a long-range thing or a short AoE thing. There are some differences in how power-ups work, which is nice. So it does give you a little bit of flexibility kind of in what you want to use at that specific time of the race, which is great. You also get this kind of side swipe mechanic that you use by flicking the right stick, which, if done correctly, will smash an enemy into a wall. Time will slow down very briefly to show you this nasty hit, and you'll be rewarded with a little bit of boost as well. So you have that mechanic as well. That's pretty much the gist of the racing. There's nothing unique here. I wouldn't expect there to be. I'll say handling is so silky smooth, whether it be the frame rate or the fact that I'm using my DualSense Edge. I don't know, but it is a joy to drive, and when you're pulling off really nice, slick boosts and you're whipping around corners at high speeds, it does feel great. And I never once felt like I wasn't in complete control of my car, and I never once felt like I didn't do exactly what I wanted to do. Levels do have numerous paths to them. Sometimes there's grind rails, sometimes there's, you know, banks up to the left or hills down to the right. It's kind of up to you to kind of chart your own course. I think a lot of that's going to be dependent on where your boost ends up, because sometimes when you're boosting, you can't make those super hard turns like you want to. So that may be kind of something to keep in mind as well. And then lastly, the car upgrade piece. While you can't change the actual physical appearance of your kart in terms of like making it a motorcycle or making it more like an SUV, you know, that customization of Mario Kart where you actually pick the shape of the kart is very limited. Here you can pick colors and spoilers and tires. Didn't really seem to impact the overall performance of the vehicle. The big delineation in this game is more on who your character is, what kind of type of character do you have. This game has implemented a kind of hero-based system in the sense that there are characters that do different things. You could have speedsters or defenders or brawlers or tricksters, and each character is assigned one of those traits, which overall changes their general racer stats, but also affects how they get boost faster. So a brawler character like my boy Donald Duck, who's my absolute favorite character in Disney, by the way, so I was thrilled to get this dude. He's a brawler. So what does brawler mean? Well, brawler in this case means when you sideswipe cars, you get boost a little bit more than other players. That's what brawler means. Not much to it. I had hoped that they had fleshed out some of the customization a little bit more to kind of tweak out kind of, you know, there's a lot of cool aesthetics that could be had in this game. But again, because it's free to play, you could always feel that it's limited, and you could always feel that everything is just one shop click away from buying the thing you need. The game is still definitely undergoing some evolution. A lot of shop items are not available, where it says come back later. The actual shop itself is kind of limited right now. You can't just go out and buy any character you want. They have these kind of bundles put together of like Hercules and Friends or something like that, but not a massive amount of customization that I've seen yet. I know this game is still in its infancy, but it does worry me because when you start to think about a game like this, you know, racing games and needing a solid fan base, it doesn't seem like there's a lot of hype for this, which is unfortunate because I think, as I said, you know, being a super Disney fan, they did put a lot of emphasis and care into the world. Like in this world where you go into a black and white movie and you actually race in an old style movie where all the color is void in this area. So they have a lot of cool ideas. They have a lot of fun theming. I just don't see it completely brought to fruition here. It's kind of just trapped behind a free-to-play racer, and that's what does frustrate me. I'll close by saying the music in this game, which I've talked over the entire game as part of my commentary, is a real treat. If you're a fan of some of the old Disney music, or if you are familiar with some of their more legacy music, you will find it remixed in here in some capacity, which is really, really fun. The Pirates of the Caribbean music is really, really good, particularly in parts of the level where you're driving in and through pirate ships. It just has a really cool theme and feel to it. So they've absolutely nailed that Disney magic. I just don't know if there's enough of it that will come out at enough frequency that keeps people coming back. That's going to be the challenge for a game like this. And I do worry that, it's going to fall apart soon when a lot of people aren't playing and people are tired of spending money on their favorite character instead of just kind of putting the whole game together. This would have been a great $20 game. You know what I mean? This would have been just a total package, one and done. You get all the characters, you go race. I think that would have served this better. I think they're a victim of their free-to-play business models. I mean, yes, you will get a higher player count, but obviously you're going to be somewhat limited. But mixed feelings on it. It's a win for me, just again, as a Disney fan, racing through with Donald and seeing all the cool tracks. I think once I've kind of gone through all the experience and seen all the levels 3 or 4 times, I think for me this is a game I would put down and go back to a game like Mario Kart, which I feel has much more. Obviously, Mario Kart's been around forever, and Mario Kart 8 is just a masterpiece in terms of pure content. But this game, I don't know if it's quite ready for that prime time based on what I've seen. I think there are still a lot of places where they could have added more stuff, and maybe that's part of their roadmap, so to speak. But when you compare this to other things that exist already, it's hard to just be sold on this and making this your definitive kart racer. I don't think you're going to do that. I think you're going to go back to your Crash Bandicoots or your Mario Karts, and I think that's going to be your daily driver. This may be something that you pick up and check, I don't know, every couple months to see if they've added something new. But it is what it is. I'm a fan. I love Donald. Give me more Donald. I'll take it any day of the week. Those are my thoughts on Disney Speedstorm. Thank you guys so much for watching. Take care of yourselves. And until next time, I will see you guys on the other side.